the list goes on. Good evening to you massively. How are you doing? How has been your evening? Um, we are deeply, deeply sorry that we kickstarted this a little late, as we were supposed to. Again, we keep really, really, really apologizing, and we will get things right. Really, we'll get things really right. Um, there's a lot of activities that just comes in, and you really need to attend to them. And about the fact that this is something that we are that is always just hard. It makes us realize that we have something powerful, something going right. And again, we apologize. One more, we're having our network today hasn't been very powerful, so it's part of the things we are trying to fix here and there, just to make sure we get the best place. I mean, our country is growing, and that's why you have someone like you, an entrepreneur, is going to really solve the data problem, the connectivity problem. I mean, we have in a globalized world and digitized world. So, and these things are banked on network, on internet speed. As so many things are just banking on them. So many great things you are developing today, the AIs and the great techs are all banking on having this great connectivity and internet speed and all that. So somebody, I'm sure, is working out the model that is going to work across board so that we can be having clarity. So I think at some point somebody was there was this bit of debate between the ratio of what do you call it, bankable, no, people that have been the ratio of banked population and the non-banked population. This is just the banking sector trying to or know their TAM and their SO and the total addressable market, TAM rather, and then the specific market they've actually been able to address, right? Just trying to get it specific. So there are the number of banked people, the number of the unbanked. So the same thing when it comes to internet connectivity. The internet penetration, right? It's still moving at, of course, at a fast speed. The great for now we have, but we don't have the stability, all of that. So what this old gram I'm just saying is just to say that this problem we are facing today is beckoning and yearning for a solution that you, the entrepreneur, is going to provide one day, that can be attached. So the operators may not think about it. And we're going to talk about something very powerful today. So the big operators may not think about this, so they may not have the flexibility to make the changes. But you, as a small person, you just come in and see this little loophole. Like, okay, how can we increase the strength of network? And you just come up with this powerful technology that you can either stand alone and be providing that, or the big guys and say, you know what, let's just buy you off, or let's see how you can partner with so that you can be connecting with us, so that and so that that gives you your own dominance in the market, right, and all of that. So again, it's just something that just came out of my mind. So, but it's entrepreneurship is actually banked on solving problems. So when you look at problems, you've solved it, and we have a headway. So, well, I'm glad that we are here today. So Business Friday is that forum where we just have conversations around businesses. It's that wonderful time where, while you are relaxing in the evening, you are just breathing in, and then from the whole stress of the week's job, then you are also now able to listen to things that can brighten your mind and get you re-strategized for the next week's business. That is for those who do a Monday to Friday business. But for people like us who do 24 hours, 7 days, you see that even your weekends business is still going on, right? So all the same, welcome on board tonight. It's me, your humble self again, and we'll just get right into it. So today we are discussing something powerful. something very close. First of all, if you're not a Chelsea fan here, I'm sorry, I'm going to just say some things, especially if you're an Arsenal fan. I'm going to say some things that may hurt you no, I mean, there is no intentionality to cause offense. I'm just a normal banter. You know how the world of soccer works, right? Soccer, world of football works. We just banter for fun. I mean, it's no hard feelings. Yes. So today we are discussing the David and the Goliath effect. You know, the David and the Goliath effect. Basically, how you can dominate, or how you can be able to win, right, in a market that Goliath, the giant, you know, basically dominates, right? How you can stay winning, right, in that market where the bigger guys, the roaring lions, yes, they've taken this whole space and all of that. And I'm sure if somebody's connecting the dots now, because I just gave a point now earlier of network connectivity problems and all of that. And then while I try to mention that, I mean, there are certain things that the big operators can't do, because of the bureaucratic process of doing that, involving getting stakeholders acceptance, the big investors, the boardroom must approve it, government must approve it. You as a small person, you don't have that whole thing to worry about. You just go straight, hit the point, and then that's why the startups are actually doing very fine anyways. But my point is how you can win in a market that is dominated by giants, you know. Before I dive straight into this, first I will do two things. Number one, I will hail my Chelsea fans. I hail D. If you're a Chelsea fan, oh, I hail D. Please take a bottle of very good non-alcoholic drink, and just embrace yourself, because we are world champions for the next 4 years. It's a bragging right. Yes. So I think that was last week, right? There was a match. I read the story for those who are not Chelsea fans so that you can relate. So Chelsea have been tipped. There's a world club champions. World what do you call it? World Cup, World Club World Cup. Sorry for the mix up. Yeah, so there's this, the unusual World Cup that happens between nations, FIFA World Cup, where it's usually 4 years program. Program happens every 4 years. This one is usually between countries, where countries, the likes of Germany have dominated, have been able to win. The likes of Argentina, I think Argentina were the last winners, if I'm not wrong. Yes, they are the last winners of the World Cup. They played against France. Yes, and they won France. I think so. Yeah, and they were the last winner. So there is a next one coming up, and countries have been playing qualifiers. So FIFA said, let's move a little bit up. Let's try to bring in the clubs, because there are clubs in each of these countries. So it's now Club World Cup. Yeah. So yeah, they did it, and then some clubs participated all the way from group stage to final, and my beloved Chelsea were part of the people who participated. Of course, in their 3 matches they played within the group stage, they were flogged at one point by Flamengo, a Brazilian club, 3-1, 3 goals to 1, after they scored first one by Pedro Neto. Somebody say, hey, yes, now my people, now they watch. Yeah, so before, of course, they considered 1, 2, and then 3, and then that's how it was a very terrible match, right? But they got back the next match. I think they beat again by 3-1 or so. Anyways, or 2-1. But they won. They came second in the league. Flamengo came first, and they started moving they came second from the table rather, and they moved from the table upwards. Round up 16, played, I think, is it Benfica or so? Anyways, moved round up 16. They went into quarterfinals and they played Palmeiras. Then they went into semi-final, and then played what is the name again? Fluminense, yes, where our former guy Thiago Silva, a great defender back in the days, he's currently he's gone back to the club now. So we met him again. Yeah, I'm giving history because I'm a pure Chelsea fan, so you can know. Anyways, they went to the final, but here's a story, right? They had an opponent. they were moving for one side, and one can say, if I've not really faced bigger guys, of course. I mean, you can't. There's these the people from the other side of it of the triangle is Paris Saint Germain, which is PSG, right? They were moving. I mean, it was tough. They faced the bigger guys. They faced Bayern Munich, flogged them out of the way. Faced Real Madrid. Real Madrid was in the semi-final, beat them, right? I think Real Madrid. Um, they even beat them by 9 men to 11. Here, like two of their men had red card. So it was they were just doing powerful, and they beat them by 3-1 or so. I can't. I'm not these scores. As long as you're not Chelsea, I mean, I don't really. But yeah, they won the match. Very won the match well. So they were playing the people you call the big guys, and of course, when it was the final, Chelsea against PSG, like whoa. Chelsea definitely is going to be the underdog here. Why? Because the tipped, in fact, the winning score line from computer and all of those bets, I mean, basic analysis was that there was 65-35 in favor of PSG. PSG is going to win. There's a 65% chance of winning over Chelsea with 35% chance, right? So, I mean, even myself, when they got there, like, well, you guys getting to the final was a lot of miracles. So, yes, at this point, just allow PSG to do their thing and then just come back. We understand. We are still rebuilding. But these guys shocked me. Even the gentleman, they shocked me to my marrow. And they won PSG in a final 3-0. 3-0. PSG couldn't score one. Not even, I'm not sure they even did offside goal. You know what? You score one goal. Say, oh, no, offside, they've cancelled it. I'm not sure they scored. Yeah, there were some offsides. They were good moments, so but the flag was red, but they didn't even score. And it was cancelled. They didn't score at all. How could Chelsea have done it? PSG had the best guys. They were dangerous. I mean, I watched the Champions League final. Sorry, I'm a big football fan. Where they flogged Inter Milan, as in they flogged Inter Milan mercilessly. Inter Milan was doing stronger with Barcelona during the semi-final. They flogged Inter Milan. You didn't look like a final Champions League, and these guys came around and they did the same thing. The one that was dangerous was when they were 9 men and they still, I think they were able to get one more goal against Bayern Munich. Yes, it was Bayern Munich or PSG. I mean, or Real Madrid. I don't know who they played, but I know they played Real Madrid. They also played Bayern Munich. I'm like, what? I think it was. Anyways, I'm not sure, but that you can't do that. How can you be 9 men and be beating these guys? What they did, so they were dangerous. Dangerous. I mean, what you can say as danger. So they were coming to with that level of danger to effect it on Chelsea. But Chelsea did something very powerful. According to the coach, said they won the match in the first 10 minutes. How? They understood this PSG tactics very well and they give them man-to-man marking and they were with high pressing and before in 10 minutes they're already taking charge. And that's why I think in the first 20-something minutes, Kopama. So they didn't even waste their chance. They had about altogether about 5 targets, goal on target. They utilized the 3 to score goals. PSG had over 7 and they could not score anyone. So that's how they knew that if I get a chance, this one is not the one we get chance. You blow it over the bar. This one must enter. So they were clinical. So what's my point here is that they sat down. They were the David in this case, and I'm going to first the two things. Anyway, I'm going to talk about 2 things before I get to the main point of today. First was just giving my Chelsea preamble, and then I was just going to go into the main storyline between David and Goliath, right? So in this case, they were the David, and PSG were the Goliath, yeah. But they did something really powerful, and took their time to understudy. They knew that side by side, according to Maresca, say if you give PSG a chance, they will kill you. That's his word. It's Maresca. So if you give them this chance, PSG will kill you. They have blood in their hand to dish out blood. So they didn't give them. But my point is, all I thought, even Chelsea was that good, I mean, they could. The best is to hold them on a 0-0 draw and then play maybe a penalty shootout. But how did you hold them from scoring you and still give them three in their? Oh my God, that was a superb, a very superb, result, and that only happened because these people tried to figure out how to win in a space that they had a giant hauling on them. Yes. And that's exactly what we're going to learn tonight. Um, to replicate the same thing Chelsea did in their own space into our own business and all of that. We're going to talk about their tactics a little bit and part of our unpacking, but let me move a little bit now into the David story. Just in case you may not have heard the story, um, first off, is it's a story in the Bible um, between a Philistine called Goliath. He was tall. He came from a lineage of people that are not normal humans, if I would say, because his height was not the normal height that people would have. Not the normal your normal 6 foot. I don't think it was over. I don't know how many feet basically. Yeah, and he was huge and all that. He's a Goliath basically, right? I think he came from the Anakim or so, that tribe back in days. And then there's this little guy, the Goliath. The normal human being size, our normal size, 5'9", maybe 6, right? Uh, our normal average size, average height, right, and not size. David wasn't even up to the in that normal average, 6.2, 6.3. David wasn't part of the, according to storylines, anyways, but he was. So within our normal range, I think it's our normal range around 6'2", 6'5". So sorry, we're trying to fix this. Yes. Okay, we're back. So in that particular space, right, the concern was that whoever it is that loses this battle is going to be a slave to the other person. you know. So it was a very high stake event. So you have to bring your best of the best. So that's why it was very funny. How can number one, he was not even that height, and two, he was not even a soldier at the time. He wasn't a warrior. Back in those days, you get trained, the men get trained to be in the military. So he wasn't even, I don't think he has even received his military training at the time because he was just a shepherd boy, raising flock for his father and all of that. So he didn't have a military training, he didn't have military background, he wasn't that tall, and he was going to face somebody who had military training, who is tall, who is wicked. In fact, there's a story, the David, if you David Goliath, good David story. If you've seen that movie on Prime, basically, somebody did something for the Anakites to be brought on the battle. Somebody had to come and frame the Israelite that their mother that Israelite killed their mother. Meanwhile, it was like so. That was what made the guy to get up and be angry and say so. He was coming both with anger in his heart to revenge, to avenge or to revenge Israel against what they did to his mom. I mean, that's the David story. I don't know. It's not in the Bible, so I don't know how they came about that, but it's part of the movie of the David movie. So let's just say it's what actually happened. So it means that first he was super tall and huge. Second, he was what do you call it? He was a warrior trained to battle. Third, he came with anger. So David had no chance one bit. All right, but to cut a long story short, that this happened in the book of First Samuel chapter 17. You can just pick that story, read everything all down. That's why you get the full concept of the whole story, right? First Samuel 17, 1 to the end. All right. So David eventually won him anyway. So the battle was whoever it is that win. The Goliath is from the Philistine. David is from Israel. So whoever it is that wins will serve the other, right? You're going to serve the other, right? So if Goliath wins, it means Israelite is going to serve, is going to be a slave to Philistine. If David wins, it means Philistines are going to be slave to Israelis, right? That was the bait, that they had in the battle, right? And So they started their process, and and so David knew by size, I can't win him. By military prowess, I can't win him. In fact, I heard they gave him an armor to wear, all those stuff military would say. It was not, it was so uncomfortable in it. I said, please remove this. So they had to remove it on him at the time, right? Because it wasn't something that was very good. It wasn't very okay for him, and all of that. So um, 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 he wasn't wearing the military attire that he needed, and he was facing somebody who wore it. So the whole odds were just against him. But he knew by size I can't win, by military strength I can't win, but by certain intelligence or grace, ability, I will win. And that's what he exploited. First, he baited um, um, Goliath against God Almighty. He says, who is this person that is defiling the God of Israel and all of that? So, of course, I mean, as much as we don't want to, and that's one fact I'm going to share again later, we don't want to always admit this, but there is the God factor in winning in business. Yes. There is that hand that is hidden from human hands that will need to support you to get results at some point. Yes, you can always win with strategy. I tell you this. I think I mentioned this somewhere. You can't always, even with the best strategy, if you don't have that cloud of God being in favor. So look at it from this point. God is also a stakeholder that you need His interest to align with yours to be able to still win. You know, that's how I want us to always look at these things from, right. So sorry, as we were saying a bit again, I apologize. It's a bit of network has just been powerfully wonderful. Just powerfully wonderful, right? So pardon us, right, tonight. So you really need to speak with God as a stakeholder, that you need him to be interested. You need to gain his support and partnership to win. Yes. So that's a different conversation. So he tried to invoke that. He tried to like invoke God to make God feel the impact of the anger. That's my own destiny. But you're like, who is this on? Do you know the God? So even if you are God and you hear that, like, that boy, yes, this is it. This is a boy that knows who I am, not these people that are here that don't know. How can this man be saying this about? So at least everything had a lot of strategy. Well, he used that point and then went, of course, down and had to find a way. He knew a weapon. He saw, I think he saw somewhere in his hole. So one advantage he had was that he was a very good stringer. He knows how to love fire, and then he gets so he used that very well to just give one strike. As soon as he struck, and then he was able to get Goliath down and all of that. So David won in a place where giant. I mean, he was facing a big giant, somebody that was three three times bigger than him and all of that. So it's something. It's that it became a thing that in the theory. So a theory of life, it's not always the bigger guys, the higher size that wins. It's people that have the best strategy and the best covering. They are the ones that will win the battle. It happened in the case of David. It happened in the case of my beloved Chelsea. Oh yes, and I bet it should happen in your own life too and your business, and that's why we're here tonight. All right, welcome on board once again. So, to be able to win in your market that is dominated by giants, the first thing that you need to do is that you will need to um, agree with yourself that I can do it. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you're wondering where this is coming from, but that's it. I can. So the first point here is I can spirit or can do spirit, what you call the can do spirit. A lot of people lose the battle before they even fight it. So imagine if Chelsea believed that, oh, this is the powerful PSG. Yeah, I mean, they defeated Bayern Munich, former Champions League winner, defeated Real Madrid, former Champions League winner. I mean, I don't even have a chance if you believe. And then there was a media people, we were going to kill, they're going to, if I know Chelsea fans who say, with what Chelsea did to Real, it was Real Madrid they played that, it was Real Madrid, they played the semi-final. What Chelsea did to Real Madrid, they're going to flog. PSG to Real Madrid. They're going to flog Chelsea like 14-0. People were just saying that because, of course, they were so dangerous. They were dangerously dangerous. Now, if Chelsea, for example, had believed that there was no chance for them, indeed, there wouldn't be any chance for them. They would have been destroyed. So the first thing is they accepted that indeed these guys are huge, but they believe that they can do. And that's the point here. Can do spirit. Can do spirit. I was having a conversation with a friend and I was analyzing something that I don't like environmental people tell me, oh, I can't do it. This is so impossible. No, I hate that conversation. I like to hear this is disturbing to do, but there is always a way out. And this is it. If we apply this, we can actually get the result. If I remember somebody who, anyway, let me not bring that example, but it's quite personal, anyways. But it can do. The moment you are defeated before you start, you forget it. There's no way. So in your market, you need to believe that you can still win, even in the midst of the big giants. For example, you are selling food, and there is Mr. Biggs there. There is Chicken Republic. There are these big eateries around you, and you are just one little mama in one small corner, right? And you're like, oh, how do I make it? And you dream of having a big restaurant like that, but you're like, how am I going to make it? This space, these guys have already. Is something that you must apply. You must apply that can do. You must apply can do. You must apply can do. Can do. Can do. KCAN do. Can do. Yes, yes, yes. So your first strategy is to believe that you can. Your mind must be pumped. I can. I'm not. It's not motivational speaking. No, I'm not motivating you. But that's the correct thing. I know a couple of times in life where um I got results because I just believed I can. In fact, nothing even happens when you don't. People just like, let's keep it as luck as chance. Yeah, luck and chance actually happen. But if you do not believe it can, you won't. Because it's first when you think I can, then you now begin to ask yourself, how? I can, but how? You know. But when you don't believe that you can, every other thing is talking is this. You're not being it's so the foundation is that can do. So the first thing is to believe that you can. First thing, you must believe that you can, in the midst of the great whales, that you can actually swim out of this water and have your name written on the board, on the billboard of the great people within that industry. That's the first thing. So the second thing, now after you have now motivated yourself, you have now pumped high. I can do it. I can do it. You know the stuff there. Yeah, you must strategize. Yeah, you must do what you must strategize. And in strategizing is a chain, is a triangle that has a lot of things under it. Yes. So the number one thing that you will now need to now do is to find the second thing now under it, which is the second point is strategize. But under the umbrella strategize, the first thing is now to find the loophole. Is you need to find the gap. Loophole here is the gap. Find the gap. Find the gap that the big sizeness, that forgive the English, but the size of the big guys in industry cannot be able to fit in because of the size, because of the bureaucratic process. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, there are certain things that you an entrepreneur, a startup can easily do that a Dangote can't do. No, they can't. Why? Because there are a lot of bureaucracies involved in them making a move. Mr. Dangote cannot wake up and just say, I want us to begin to sell. Although I don't know, I mean, of course, he has let me look at looking for companies that are highly publicly traded because Dangote is also publicly traded, but there's a way their share is still largely owned by let me look for a very disintegrated industry with a lot of, let's say, banks, for example, right? At least I have Fidelity Bank. I know them. The way their system works, I think they have a lot of stakeholders. They are publicly traded, right? So they have a lot of stakeholders, and there are no majority stakeholder among them, according to one statement from somebody who I believe is one of the big directors there, right? Anyways, I've not checked, but if I should go by that story, basically, or by that feedback, basically, it means that in their space, there are a lot of persons who own shares. But so in that space, that kind of environment, you don't just wake up and make a decision and say, let's do this or do that to our operations. No, you can't do that normally. Even though, or let's imbibe AI, it can't go that way. You will first of all suggest it to the board. Uh, the board will go through. There's already a designed way decisions are being made. It must go through that route. Then once you are now done, you now go to get a regulatory, take it to the legal people within your team. They will now check the legal implications, and then you go and get legal license. By the time you're doing that, we can take up to 6 months. At least we know in our this space. Just to submit to people, it will take this a length of time before it's approved because the bureaucracies are quite plenty. But you, as a startup, you don't have those bureaucracies. First of all, you are the founder, you are the board chairman, you are everything. So you wake up and think, and you see, AI is going to really help us to move right, and then you can easily move straight and delve into AI and then begin to use. You don't have anybody to answer to. Nobody is really on your neck. Nobody is even seeing you. The bigger people are not seeing. That is a strength that can be explored. So remember, I said you believe can do number one, and then number two is not to strategize. Is now you believe that you can. How? The how is a strategy. So the number one strategy here is look at uh, what can I do? Like, what are the gaps within this space that the big guys can't take over, right? That I can easily, swiftly move in and move. So it brings me to the one point or point, call it now point, maybe 2A. You know, those, those stuff in school. Yeah, it brings me to what I call agility and speed over size. Yes. Yes, yes. So part of what you're going to really leverage in this is that you first of all identify the loopholes in the market that the big guys are not covering. Then you need to design yourself in such a way that you have a lot of agility and the speed to address that loophole before they come. Because if the big guys come, they'll put their big guy next to it. You don't have any space. I said something here when I started. It looks like a joke, but it is very serious. Now, internet penetration is not even a conversation right now. In most urban places, penetration is going at a high rate, right? Although now the big guys are covering internet penetration across rural places. They are already churning their resources there, trying to cover more, go to different places where there are not much internet and putting their things there. When you talk about have their 3G, have their 4G now, the new one, the 5G, they are doing that. But in the midst of what they are doing, this is the telecom industry now, there is a place of network strength and stability among the areas that have been penetrated. For example, my own area, I have network, but you see what has been is really been doing somehow. Somebody is now coming and say, how can I solve this problem for a very and make it also very easily reachable to people? If anybody develops that solution, that you have internet and you just once you have internet, you just come and once you plug this thing there, plug it there, it's going to drag internet strength from different places and come and push it. So it's like internet booster. If somebody is able to bring that and make it easily reachable, right, and it's working, and the way these guys are going to rush you. Hmm? So they will either want to buy you off so that they can add your solution to theirs, or they want to replicate yours. Of course, you get your patent so they can protect your intellectual property. Or if you don't do that, then they will then look at either maybe buying from you now, for example, making you so after if you plug in their this thing, they still need to now come to you and buy your solution to add to theirs. As if they don't buy it out completely, anyways. But my point is, this is one way, practical example of how you can be winning. So, at such a place now, you are you are in the place where you are able to thrive without so much competition. So you're in the telecom space, but you're in a space that these guys, the bigger guys, can't do anything without coming to you. Let me give another maybe practical example again. For example, most of the sites today, again, I don't know why I'm using telecom. Maybe because I like telecom, right? But most of the sites I know personally uses are powered by powered by an energy system. Maybe in this case, most of them are usually diesel. I mean, refined petroleum products. In this case, diesel, right? So, what if you come up with a solution, right? Where, of course, without your network booster, right, that does not require what do you call it? No, the example I was giving it was the part that where you are you are supplying a solution, right, that will not require you to power your station with all those diesel, so that you're not at the mercy of refined petroleum people, all of that, but still get the result that is bigger than theirs, right? So you're able to innovate. We get something that I think that's what people like the Starlink people are currently doing now. Yeah, the Starlink have done it. Although the reason I was trying to avoid Starlink earlier is that you can't say though they are a startup as an organization, right? But they have a lot of strength because they have, I mean, a founder who is the richest man in the whole world, and also so they have some strength with them. I'm talking about when you are winning without a lot of strength like the big guys, all of that. All that. So, but look at what Starlink have done, right? So while you are putting your connectivity on, their connectivity is not even terrestrial, like we have currently. They connect all the way from, I think, from satellite, right? Straight up. That's why their board is facing like this, facing directly on, connecting from the satellite. So with that, there is very minimal interruption and makes it the speed extremely fast and all of that. But another issue now is that it is very expensive. So everyone that can even buy it, talk more of, I think the buying is actually the real problem. Buy it and then you're renewing it all the time, all that. So it comes with its own stuff. But that's, again, if you put it in the context of what I'm saying, is actually you carving your own niche out. Yeah. So the number one thing you must do, as I mentioned under your strategy now, is that you need to um, have agility and have speed, and you need to leverage it over the size of the big guys. That is number one strategy that you must apply to be able to win. And number two, I pointed out earlier, is that you need to niche down. You need to what? Niche down. And again, I'm talking about strategy. So why the big guys are covering the larger spaces, you need to find that small space that they are not able to cover, and then find a place to address it. I gave an example of internet penetration, right? Why they are focused on internet penetration, moving fine, buying equipment. You don't have that strength. You can't play that game with them. They are going to kill you. But you can develop something to increase, bolster, or boost the strength of the already penetrated areas. You didn't get that point now, so that's a place you can come in there, maybe find something that can be able to, that when people use it, they can use that on top of their own solution, and it's going to give them a fantastic result. And all of that. That's a practical example, right? So the next point that one will leverage, that is called strategy, for me here, is to understand the customers that are buying. We were talking about dominating the market earlier. I talked about understanding your market. Now I'm now tilting to understanding the customer that buys, or the customer that buys from that industry, from that market. You see, people make buying decision by internal connectivity. Now, let me take this around a little bit. Put yourself in the shoe of somebody who wants to buy a product. How do you feel usually when you want to buy a product? What convinces you to take a risk of parting with your money in exchange of the product or the service you want to buy from someone? The same thing that convinces you is the same thing that convinces the other person, or the same point of conviction. So, how about you develop a solution where you are able to get to the heart of your customers in the that industry far more than the bigger guys can do? That's another way. I talked about strategy. So you are deploying strategy. First of all, understand the weaknesses of this, what they are unable to do. Understand their end game. Now, Chelsea, for example, as an organization, a football club rather, they understood the pattern that PSG plays, and they said to themselves, how can we match their energy equal to equal and capture them? We can't drag 90 minutes with them, oh, but how can we give them this fire to fire they're giving in about 10 minutes and conquer? Because once you conquer them and knock them everywhere, you are going to be able to, you will actually win. So they studied their tactics, and they also knew how long they can play that tactics. That's why they have, you check PSG had more goals on target, because of course they were more dangerous in the match. But these guys were more clinical. Chelsea were more clinical. Oh yes, they did study it. They knew. So the same thing they did, you will need to do the same thing, right? So um, find a way. How do I get to the heart of the customers? How do I, develop a personal relationship